If you don't learn this about money now, you will regret it later, not because money itself is life's highest goal, but because misunderstanding it quietly steals years from you while you're busy living. And I say this not with urgency or drama, but with the calm certainty that comes from watching decades unfold the same way for different people who thought they were choosing different paths. Because money is less about numbers and more about behavior, less about intelligence and more about habits, less about ambition and more about patience. And I've seen very smart people stay trapped their entire lives while quieter, slower, less flashy people walked into freedom without anyone noticing until it was already done. And the difference was never luck, never talent, never secret information, but understanding one simple truth early enough and honoring it consistently. Income is not wealth, and spending to feel important is the most expensive habit you can ever develop. You see, income is what comes in, wealth is what stays, and most people confuse motion with progress, believing that if money is flowing through their hands, something good must be happening. But water flowing through a cracked cup leaves you thirsty no matter how fast it pours, and I have watched people chase raises, promotions, side hustles, and excitement while never stopping to ask whether their life was actually becoming more stable, more peaceful, more free, because they were trained to admire speed and noise, not stillness and control. The rat race does not begin with poverty. It begins with comparison. The moment you measure your worth against what others display, and displays are illusions, always curated, always incomplete, always hiding the cost beneath the shine, and when you spend your life reacting to what you see, you surrender control to forces that do not care about your future self, because stores, trends, and social pressure do not wake up worried about your peace at age 50 or 60 or 70. But you will, and by then the habits will already be built. Lifestyle inflation is the quiet thief that wears a friendly face. It arrives disguised as reward, as comfort, as success, and it whispers that you deserve this because you worked hard, and you did. But it never tells you what it takes in return, which is your margin, your options, your ability to walk away. And I have seen people double their income only to feel more anxious than before because every increase in spending became a new obligation. And obligations are chains when income stops, slows, or simply grows tiresome. Freedom is not created by how much you earn. It is created by how little you need, and that idea is uncomfortable in a world that celebrates excess. But discomfort is often the entrance fee to wisdom. Debt is not just money borrowed from the future, it is energy borrowed from your peace, and status symbols are not proof of success. They are often evidence of insecurity disguised as confidence. And emotional spending is rarely about the object itself, but about filling a feeling that the object cannot hold for long, which is why the excitement fades and the need returns, and the cycle continues. Most people believe that the moment their income rises, their problems will begin to disappear, but income by itself has never been the thing that creates safety or peace. And I have watched this misunderstanding quietly shape entire lives. Income is movement. It is flow. It comes and goes, sometimes fast and sometimes slow, but wealth is what remains when the movement stops. Wealth is the space you create between what you earn and what you spend, and that space is where freedom lives. You can earn a lot of money and still feel trapped, anxious, and dependent if every dollar is already promised to something else before it even arrives. I have seen people with impressive salaries live in constant fear because their lifestyle required everything they made and more, while others with far less income slept well at night because they controlled their expenses and protected their margin. What truly matters is not how much money touches your hands, but how much stays under your control. Control gives you options, and options are the real currency of a good life. When you control your money, you control your time, your choices, and your ability to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. Without control, even high income becomes a fragile thing, because the moment it slows, stress arrives. Many people mistake motion for progress, believing that being busy earning and spending means they are moving forward. But motion without direction often leads in circles. Money flowing through your life too quickly is like water passing through open fingers. It feels like abundance in the moment, but nothing is held when you actually need it. This is why so many intelligent, hardworking people remain stuck despite earning more each year. They upgrade their lives as fast as their income grows, never allowing wealth to take root. Each raise becomes a new obligation, each improvement becomes a new normal, and slowly the finish line moves further away. Wealth requires restraint, not deprivation, but intentional restraint that allows money to serve you instead of the other way around. It asks you to separate comfort from excess, needs from appearances, and value from validation. True wealth is quiet. It does not announce itself or seek approval. It sits patiently, growing slowly, providing stability rather than excitement. It allows you to make decisions based on what matters, not what pays immediately. It gives you the ability to choose rest without guilt, work without desperation, and generosity without resentment. Income can impress others, but wealth protects you. If you learn early that income is just a tool and not the destination, you stop chasing numbers and start building structure. You begin to measure progress by how long you could live without working, not by how large your paycheck is. You stop asking how much you can spend and start asking how much you can keep. Over time, this shift changes everything. Money becomes calmer, choices become clearer, and life becomes less reactive. The regret many people carry later in life is not that they didn't earn more, but that they earned plenty and never learned how to turn that income into lasting security and freedom. Lifestyle inflation does not arrive with a warning, and that is what makes it so dangerous. It feels reasonable, justified, even earned. When income increases, spending quietly follows, not because needs have grown, but because expectations have shifted. What once felt like a luxury slowly becomes a requirement, and the mind adjusts so smoothly that the loss of freedom goes unnoticed. I have seen people celebrate progress while unknowingly tightening the very chains they hope to escape, believing they were moving forward when they were simply raising the cost of their own life. Debt often walks in alongside this inflation, offering comfort in the present while quietly borrowing from the future. It promises ease, speed, and status, but never explains the price paid in anxiety and obligation. Every payment is a reminder that tomorrow's effort has already been claimed. Debt reduces choices, narrows vision, and forces decisions to be made out of necessity rather than intention. Even small debts, when accumulated, create mental weight that keeps people tied to work they no longer enjoy and situations they would otherwise leave. Status symbols play a powerful role in this trap because they speak directly to human emotion. They offer validation, belonging, and a sense of arrival, but only for a moment. The approval fades, the comparison returns, and the cycle begins again. Many people are not buying objects, they are buying feelings, trying to signal success to others or reassure themselves that they are doing well. The cost of this reassurance is often long-term freedom. Appearances demand maintenance, upgrades, and replacements, and each one increases dependence on future income. Emotional spending thrives when money lacks a clear purpose. Stress, boredom, insecurity, and comparison all find temporary relief at the point of purchase, but relief is not resolution. When spending becomes a way to manage feelings, it stops being a tool and starts being a habit, and habits shape lives far more than intentions. Over time, this behavior creates a pattern where money disappears quickly and dissatisfaction remains, leading people to believe they need more income when in reality they need more awareness. Freedom does not come from displaying success, it comes from needing less of it. When you reduce obligations, you increase flexibility. When you lower the cost of your lifestyle, you increase your ability to choose. A simple life with margin creates breathing room, and breathing room creates calm. This calm allows better decisions, patience, and resilience during uncertainty. It allows you to say no without fear and yes without regret. Those who escape the cycle learn to separate self-worth from spending and comfort from excess. They design their lives intentionally, choosing stability over show and control over comparison. The regret that often comes later is not about missing out on things, but about realizing too late that every unnecessary expense quietly traded a piece of freedom for a moment of comfort. People are naturally drawn to excitement, especially when money is involved, because excitement promises speed and transformation. It suggests that a single decision, a clever move, or perfect timing can change everything at once. I have watched many chase this feeling, believing that intensity and boldness are the keys to wealth. Yet time and again it is the quiet, patient approach that endures. Boring decisions rarely feel powerful in the moment, but they accumulate strength over time in ways excitement never can. Long-term success is shaped far more by discipline than by brilliance. Discipline does not rely on mood, confidence, or favorable conditions. It works steadily, even when progress feels invisible. Patience allows decisions to mature, to benefit from time rather than fight against it. When people try to outsmart the process, they often interrupt compounding, moving money too often, reacting to noise, and mistaking activity for improvement. The result is usually stress, inconsistency, and regret. Simple, long-term investing works because it removes emotion from the process. It accepts that the future is uncertain and chooses consistency over prediction. Speculation, on the other hand, feeds on the belief that one can anticipate outcomes, that skill or intuition can overcome randomness. This belief feels empowering, but it often leads to overconfidence, excessive risk, and poor timing. Fear and greed take turns guiding decisions, pushing people to chase highs and flee lows, usually doing the opposite. Of what patience would advise, time rewards those who stay in place. It magnifies small, repeated actions and turns them into meaningful results. Compounding does not require constant improvement, only persistence. Missing a few exciting opportunities rarely matters, but missing years of steady growth always does. The most damaging mistakes often come from abandoning a solid plan in search of something faster, louder, or more impressive. Talent can open doors, but it cannot keep them open without consistency. Luck can create sudden gains, but it rarely builds lasting stability. What endures is the willingness to repeat good decisions even when they feel dull and unrewarding. This repetition builds confidence, not the loud kind that seeks attention, but the quiet kind that comes from knowing you are aligned with time rather than racing against it. Those who succeed over the long run learn to distrust excitement and respect boredom. They understand that calm decisions made repeatedly outperform dramatic ones made occasionally. The regret that often appears later is not about missed chances to get rich quickly, but about the moments when impatience led to abandoning a path that would have worked if it had simply been left alone. A lifetime is rarely changed by one dramatic decision, but it is quietly shaped by thousands of small ones that feel unimportant at the time. People often look for turning points, moments that explain success or failure, yet those moments are usually just the visible result of habits practiced in private for years. What you do daily becomes who you are eventually, and money simply follows the patterns you repeat. Small choices feel harmless because their consequences are delayed, but delay does not mean denial, it only means the result is waiting. Saying yes is easy. It brings comfort, approval, and relief in the moment. Saying no requires restraint and foresight because it offers nothing immediate. There is no praise for skipping an unnecessary purchase, no applause for choosing patience over impulse, no recognition for consistency when no one is watching. Yet every small no quietly strengthens your future position. It reduces pressure, preserves options, and builds a sense of control that grows slowly but steadily. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction, but in reality it is protection. It protects future peace from present temptation. It protects clarity from emotional reaction. When discipline becomes a habit, decisions require less effort, and life becomes calmer. Without it, every choice feels urgent and exhausting because you are constantly reacting instead of guiding your direction. Over time, this difference compounds into two very different lives, one marked by steadiness and one by constant strain. Patience works the same way. It allows you to wait without anxiety, to trust that progress does not need to be rushed to be real. Impatience demands proof immediately, often leading to unnecessary changes and reversals. Patience accepts that meaningful growth is uneven and quiet. When patience is practiced daily, it reshapes how you respond to uncertainty. You stop forcing outcomes and start allowing time to work in your favor. Alignment between values and actions creates inner stability. When your spending, saving, and decisions reflect what truly matters to you, conflict disappears. You no longer feel pulled in different directions or pressured to keep up. Life becomes simpler, not because it lacks opportunity, but because it lacks unnecessary noise. This simplicity creates space, and space creates freedom. In the end, the greatest pressure people feel comes from choices they made repeatedly without awareness. The greatest peace comes from realizing that change does not require dramatic effort, only consistent intention. When you look back, it will not be one bold move that defines your life, but the quiet discipline of small decisions made again and again. Saying no today, when it feels insignificant, is often the exact reason you are free tomorrow.